Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. So happy to be here with you. Second match week of MLS. Nashville still unbeaten. Happy? Question. I don't know how we're feeling. Sure. I am with Clay Trainum, Valair Shabilla. I didn't win my prop bet though. Nobody won. Did anybody win for red card? Do we check this out? Have we ever had the red card happen this quickly?
The red card happening this quickly. I don't know. How early was the Dax McCarty one against NYCFC a few years back?
It was still later than this for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was that early, but yeah, I think nobody had Matt Corcoran from the podcast crew, but I don't know what the listeners submitted. So
no, the listeners, it was the usual suspects. It was Dan Lovitz and Eddie Tagseth for more than anybody else.
Fair enough. They know ball.
They know ball.
I don't want to gloss over it because I think Valair and I had a pretty good weekend.
Okay, I think we should gloss over it, honestly. I think it would be great if we just completely glossed over it.
Hey, Valair, you had a pretty good soccer weekend. I feel like I had a pretty good soccer weekend. Do we think Steven had a pretty good soccer weekend?
I was one of the reasons Steven didn't have a good soccer weekend. So I was we were messaging back and forth during the Chelsea Arsenal match. And Steven got pretty upset during our interaction. So yeah. That's kind of how
that is absolutely not true. Well, acting like I care enough specifically about what?
Regardless of the fake news you're trying to spread through this podcast, your team lost at the end of the day. So yeah, that's nice. That was nice to see.
Mind you,
Jordan Pickford made one of the all-time great Premier League saves.
It was a phenomenal save.
I did see that. That was incredible.
It was phenomenal. Also, I needed to be made clear that literally minutes before we started recording, Valair was just like, "Hey, Steven, I need you to pick up your mood and be happier a little bit." And then gets on the show 2 minutes later and starts spreading fake news about how upset I was about Chelsea losing. If
you can't control your emotions during this recording, that's on you. Clay and I have controlled our emotions. Look how happy we are to be here. And you seem a little upset to be here. So.
Is this going to be the earliest red card in pharmaceutical soccer history?
Just leave.
Even other than the obvious, how was your weekend?
Was that me?
Yeah.
I said, other than the obvious, how was your weekend?
I had a really good weekend. I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought a soccer ball and some clothes. I don't know if you guys know, but stuff is expensive right now.
That's correct. That's a correct statement. Yes. That's
all right. Cool. That's what I got.
Big economical issue going on at the
that's what that's.
This is an economics podcast.
That's what I got.
At least it's not a political podcast because, buddy, I have
purely
thoughts.
Economics.
Yeah. It was a good weekend though. Good weekend outside expensive stuff and the obvious. But Clay, how was your weekend?
I mean, it was busy. I gave 6 tours of MTSU's library. So
it's a beautiful library, to be fair. I spent a lot of time there.
It's great. I highly recommend. And then worked Athletes Unlimited. So shout out to professional women's sports in Nashville. Hey, maybe we can have some other pro women's sports in Nashville. And, watch Everton win. So who can complain?
My weekend also involved women's sports, just on the national team side of things. So that was nice. I got to cover that game, and then I went to a 1-year-old birthday party. Shout out to old listeners will remember intern Arlene had a child, and that child is 1 year old now. So shout out to all the 1-year-olds out there. I'm at that age where like 2-3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, it was like all the weddings I was going to, and now like I'm paying for all the weddings I went to by going to these birthday parties. It's like a common sort of cycle of that age. But yeah, very other than that, pretty soccer heavy weekend for me, I would say. I did nothing else other than just watch all the soccer, which is how I prefer my weekends to be anyway.
How was the crowd at the at Geodis for that?
Pretty good for the women's game. It's a little less than I thought. I think 14,500 was announced, or thereabouts. Last time I was there for a women's game, it was above 20,000 people. It was a lot more. I don't know. The crowd was there, a little louder. But I think the more they come here, which they come a lot, and also just had to do with how experimental She Believes Cup usually is, and for Emma Hayes and who she put out there was like Trinity Rodman didn't come until the very end, and then a bunch of the big names stars didn't even come on, and some of them came in just really late. So I think that played part of it. And then what on the other side, what got people there was the weather being amazing because it was really nice outside.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see, like, when the She Believes Cup kind of started, how big and impactful it was going to be, this huge new women's tournament. And now I feel like it's just kind of dropped off a little bit in terms of competitiveness, and it's become more of a friendly than what it was kind of made out to be.
Well,
Uh, huh?
it's not as important on the financial end for the players as it used to be,
Right.
because now it's tied. Now their compensation is similarly tied into the major events the same way that the men's players are, because they're on a similar contract. The idea behind She Believes, in addition to, like, having these things, was also they had a lot of games that they had to get in, and a lot of players are also making more money playing professional. So it's a good thing on one hand, but I think it is also, like, taken away a little bit of the shine, because you can now watch professional women's soccer players making a decent amount of money playing on the club side, and it's worthwhile. So it is it's all it's all good. It's I think the U.S. in general does need to, like, move things around,
Yeah.
go to new places. I think Nashville has largely been targeted because Nashville is a prime target for a pro women's team, and the U.S. women's team tends to answer questions about a pro women's team in Nashville every time they play in Nashville. And there have been various groups that have approached uh, business folks in Nashville as well as the Metro Council about being in Nashville. And so I think part of the selection for She Believes is that. But I think, it could afford to, U.S. soccer in general could afford to open it up and go to places that they don't go all the time, like a Chattanooga, if you will, where women's team has gone maybe once or twice.
This isn't a Chattanooga show. This is a Nashville show, and we are going to talk
Like a
about
Knoxville. There you go.
we are going to talk about Nashville Soccer Club today and some other MLS stuff later on. We had 2 matches last week, and I'm not going to lie, I don't remember either of them. Did we how'd we do? Did we play soccer over the week?
Well, as a professional who works in this industry, I do remember both matches because that's the reason I am on this podcast. So this is your second strike. I will not let you. Is this a baseball thing? 3 strikes, right? Yeah. So
I mean,
you
it's the
have one
second
more
yellow.
strike, Steven. What's that?
The second yellow. So,
Hold
Steven, sorry to say.
Well, I don't want to kick him
This
out
is
yet.
ridiculous. Hold on. No. Wait 1 second. On our Slack that we have our communication about, quote from Valair, I have watched so much soccer, I forgot the 5-0 game. Actual quote from Valair. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
You're
but
going to
guess
act
what?
like you're this high-end professional,
Okay,
even though
will
you
you-
also forgot it.
Will you read the timestamp on that?
9:54 a.m.
Okay, by the time that passed, I went and refreshed my memory like a professional and remembered everything that happened and can speak about that game in detail because I was there in person and covered it. Where were you and why weren't you there?
That feels rude.
Yeah, he goes low. He's low blowing it today.
Making fun of Steven aside, that's how interesting the 2 games this week were. The opening 10 minutes of this program is half making fun of Steven, because I don't feel like we've learned a whole lot over the course of the 2 games. I think that on one hand, the Ottawa game kind of went as expected. We'll talk about it a little bit more in the second segment. And FC Dallas presented an opportunity to answer some questions going into the season. And I don't think those questions were answered by the game. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's early season. It is what it is. But it was like the first chance to like, oh, how's this going to be different than last year? And it was a performance that, while this team is better than last year's team, you could have easily seen last year's team put in a similar performance even without Sam Surridge.
I would agree with that. I mean, ultimately, coming into this week, we had an idea of who Nashville were and what they're trying to do, and that idea didn't change based on these two games. I don't think the draw against Dallas is disastrous or of any sort, and I don't think it provided any additional data that we needed about this Nashville team. At the end of the day, they did go and get an away win, and it's always easier to have those sort of
Away
games
draw.
with. Sorry, did I say win? Yeah, draw.
Yeah.
No, I think it's always easier to have those sort of performances where you think Nashville could have done better away from home. It is easier to have those performances away from home than it is at home. I don't think it hits the fan base as strong, and I don't think it hits the perception of the team as strongly. Like if Nashville comes back here against Minnesota next week and wins, I don't think many people are talking about that Dallas performance. To where if that game was at home, I think it would provide a little bit more of a worrying sign, I think, for Nashville.
Yeah, I think it's something that you're going to be sitting here being like, okay, we beat a bad team. We should have beat a bad team. Scored the goals that we should have. We did what we needed to do against Ottawa. So not necessarily much there. We were all looking forward to Miami anyways. We go into Dallas where it's not necessarily something that it's worrying. It's not worrying yet. It's more just hey, this is a thing that happened. But if we go, another road game, another 2 road games down the line where we're having trouble, winning matches, that trend of, hey, this team was really bad away from home is going to continue to stack up early into the season. So, and Nashville did have some chances to win, and we'll go to it in specifics. So it is interesting to go through the week of having a 5-0 win, and how I view this team and the vibe of the team is still absolutely the same that I felt last week. And it's weird because literally I just feel like the weekend happened, nothing has changed, so I don't necessarily know how to comment or go about talking about it.
I'll say this: it did provide some details on certain players, maybe, and where they are, and also, the Sam Surridge thing. It's a big part of news. There were 3 players total who were affected by this flu outbreak that happened in the team. Sam Surridge obviously was the top one. And what it ends up happening is Nashville can't score when Sam Surridge isn't there, and I think that's also an important thing to take out of that game. I don't think it's as simple as that, and we'll go into it in the second segment. But yeah, there are no large conclusions, but maybe you can take some conclusions about certain players or certain performances, even a BJ Callahan performance, if we're talking about large picture.
Yeah. And before we get into that, this seems like a proper time to do it because we have a little bit of time. I put something together for you two folks to kind of have some fun with, just because I knew this episode would be a little interesting, especially with the draw kind of happening. So we're going to do this now. Are you guys ready to play a game?
I thought you changed it on me, but yes.
I did. We had some time. We had some time in the first. Do it now. I'm doing it now. Have you both seen the subreddit explain a film plot badly before, where they explain a film plot in just kind of a weird, typical way, and your goal is to guess what movie it is?
I mean, this is similar to Hoosiers is a film about an abusive coach who wins it all because the best player in town decided to start playing basketball again.
Yes. So we are going to do explain. We're going to do explain an NSC player badly. NSC edition. So this is all players. So for example, Randall Leal incarnate, but actually put shots on target is
Warren Madrigal.
Exactly. So I have an easy, a medium, and a hard. I have one for each of you with a tiebreaker at the end if needed. We will start with the easy one. Valair, are you ready?
Go.
Cool. Easy. Midwestern elite will never suffer from osteoporosis.
Will never suffer from what?
Osteoporosis.
He's not going to explain it, but if you know what that is,
lost
it's
the reference there. Joe Willis.
I'll go to Clay for that one.
It's Jack Mayer.
That is correct. That is Jack Mayer. Osteoporosis is normally helped with people that drink milk, and he's from the Midwest, so that would be Jack Mayer.
It's not a
Valair, I'll
medical,
give
now it's a medical
bone thing.
podcast.
It's a
We got
bone
me.
thing. It's
I'll-
literally called pharmaceutical soccer, Valair. You can't really.
Yeah. All right, Valair, that's 1 point to Clay. I'll give Clay that one because he's easier from the Midwest. This one is right down your alley. Manhattan Messi, perfect for 1 to 2 goals a year.
Oh, me? Still?
Yes,
Oh, Alex Moyle.
that is Alex
I mean,
Moyle.
that freebie. You just
Yeah.
switched it just because it was so easy for me.
1-1. Congratulations. Now you're going to move on to the medium ones. I will do Clay for this one. Clay. The Crimson Chin learns to dive in Scotland.
Crimson Chin learns to dive in Scotland.
That's easy.
Well, if you're going to do this like the last round, I'll let Valair answer and hear the second one.
Cool. We can do that. Valair, you go ahead and get that one.
Brian Schwacke.
That is correct, and that is because Brian Schwacke has the jawline of the Crimson Chin and the chin of the Crimson Chin.
Well, I
And
big chin, yeah.
started-
He was
And he
with
played in
Lingo.
Scotland.
He
started-
played for Lingo.
Yeah.
Clay, yours. The cherry jumps into the pool.
That would be Sam Surridge.
That is correct, because
Yeah,
Sam
'cause he played
Surridge
at
started his
Bournemouth.
career off at Bournemouth, nicknamed the Cherries, and was loaned out to a club called Pool Town. So Sam Surridge jumped into the pool. All right, 2-2. Are you ready for the next one? Hard
Yes.
ones.
I guess
Let's
it's
see if we
me.
get these. Valair, we'll start with you. Extremely comfortable skyscraper can't get above a 54.
Is this current Nashville SC players?
Yes.
Extremely comfortable skyscraper. Can't get above 54. Ruben Pacius.
No. Clay, do you have a guess?
Joe Willis.
No, this would be in reference to our tallest player on the team, an extremely comfortable skyscraper who cannot get above a 54 rating in FIFA. That'd be one Xavier Valdez on the bench. Xavier
I was just
Valdez.
going Willis Tower.
So then I'll give Clay the first chance, the last one before if we need a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Man with 4 names celebrating his birthday month. Dun 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 dun.
I don't know.
Valair, do you have a guess?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with one of the Latino guys because they usually have double barrel names. So Jason Palacios.
That would be number 4, Jesse and Andreas Palacios Muriel. That is correct.
Yes.
Jason Palacios is correct. Both has 4 names
right.
and a number 4. That's that that Kendrick Lamar double entendre that I just dropped in there. Congratulations. Valair, you are the winner.
Out of curiosity, what was the tiebreaker?
The tiebreaker. First the worst, second the best.
Repeat that.
First the worst, second the best.
I feel like it's a player who started off badly and became good afterwards, but I can't put that on anyone.
Well, the reason why it was a tiebreaker, it did throw you for a loop. First the worst, second the best. He also is the second of his name. That would be 1 Brian Joseph Callahan II.
That's not a player.
That would be BJ Callahan. I know. That's why it was a tiebreaker, and I was going to throw you off at the end. But yes.
So the tiebreaker was one that neither of us would get. That makes sense.
So, Valair, congratulations. You are the winner. You did fantastic during Explain a Film Plot Badly NSC edition. I do hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed putting those together. That was a good time for me.
The ball knowledge of Latino names is really what wanted for me. And, it made up for my lack of English on the first question, so I'll just take it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, listeners, as well. But we do have actual matches to talk about. We got to talk about our win against Ottawa, the draw against Dallas, and then some other MLS news that we do have to talk about. And we're going to do that next, right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at PharmaSoccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, please join us at 615soccer.com. Let me tell you, the Discord during these two matches against Ottawa and Dallas was just an absolute joy. It's cool to just see how many people are joining in 615 Soccer and what we are doing. Please check it out, be a part of it. Even if it's a free tier, that's great. But we do have some other benefits. If you do sign up as a paid tier, would love to have you be a part of it. Player ratings, all the fun type of jazz. Go to 615soccer.com. Check it out. Also, if you're looking for those Pharma Soccer shirts that are so comfy and so amazing to wear, please make sure you do check out pharmasoccer.com. Grab yourself some merchandise.
You know what? I'm just gonna throw this in here really quickly.
Oh,
And only actual listeners of this show will have an opportunity to win, because I'm not putting this anywhere else, because I just thought about it. I have an extra large Pharma Soccer quarter zip that doesn't fit me anymore. And I've worn it maybe once in my entire life. It's a beautiful quarter zip that Clay designed. I will get you this quarter zip if you give us 5 stars and post a screenshot of it on social media anywhere and tag us. The first person to do it will get this quarter zip for free. There you go. Boom.
Also, just give us a 5-star and leave a review on Apple anyway.
Yeah, we haven't really had.
Yeah,
we haven't had a ton of 5-star reviews yet to kind of go through and go.
Yeah, we haven't had any reviews. So don't make it sound bad when you say 5 stars. You know, just oh yeah, we got a bunch of 1-star reviews. No. We just need y'all to give us some reviews. That's what we need.
Yeah, it's a new season. Hop on there.
Do love that Valair just offered his once worn Pharma Soccer sweatshirt for a review.
I don't want it to go to somebody who doesn't appreciate
I wear my
the
Pharma
show
gear all the time.
I just can't wear it. It's like too big. So yeah, there you
go. Put on weight. Not a problem, Valair. Easily solved.
Offering next on Only Pharma Fans. Anyways, so let's talk about do you want to talk about Dallas first?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about Dallas first. Of course, getting a 0-0 draw in Frisco, Texas, to a sold-out crowd of 11,500 people, because half of the stadium is being renovated anyways. Yeah, the match was played and it happened, and it reminded me of COVID times of playing Dallas, where like one of the matches was like extremely exciting and then the other one was just not. And this was the one that unfortunately was not extremely entertaining. But there was some stuff to talk about, though, I believe, in it. First thing, obviously, with the lineup had to switch because Sam Surridge, unfortunately, was a little bit sick and was not able to play into the match. Boy, I wish he wasn't sick, because he would have completely changed the game. But yeah, it was interesting to see how that lineup kind of came out, especially the formation.
I mean, Surge not playing is the big takeaway, of course. But for me, what it all comes down to is what we talked about on this show last week, which is that if Nashville is going to take the next step, if they're going to move into the next realm of being truly a contender at the top of MLS, these are the matches that you have to win. And that's not putting down Dallas. I think Dallas is an okay team. I think they'll have an okay season. They could be in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if they have a really good season, honestly. But like, this is a team, Nashville is a team that if it's going to compete, it has to win games like this. It has to win games where it's there for the taking and finish the job. And it looked like, and to be fair, Nashville looked like it might do just that in the last 10, 15 minutes of the game. But I think it's perfectly reasonable to be fine with the result. And I think everyone is pretty much fine with the result. But then sit there going like, that's a game that Nashville, if they want to compete for stuff, has to win games like that. And it's early in the season, so it's unfair to like judge a team on the basis of one result or anything like that. But I do think you're going to play games without Sam Surridge. You're probably going to play games without Espinosa or Hani Mukhtar over the course of a season. Like, these things do happen. And the whole point of having depth is being able to perform when guys go out or when guys can't play. And, that they were asked to do that this past weekend, and they got a result, but they didn't get a win in a game that they were favored to win. Even the MLS metrics had their win probability as being the most likely, well into halftime of that game.
Yeah, I think also we have to talk about it's not just Sam Sturridge missing. It's about a Nashville coming out with a new shape in MLS. They did play kind of like that against Ottawa, where it was a little bit of a 4-3-3 with Muyl being that third center mid. Came in, Corcoran retained his position as that deep lying six, and then Yazbek and Eddie Texas were in front of him. The issue that came up for Nashville is that neither Yazbek nor Eddie, for all of their strengths, neither of them are the creator type midfielder. Neither of them are truly an 8. And what ended up happening, and I know I've said this, I just recorded an episode with MLS Aces podcast, so I said it there. So if you've listened to that first, you might have heard me say this already. But what ends up happening is that Nashville are able to get the ball pretty high up and into the dangerous areas, but then when you get there isn't much going on. And then for Corcoran, he's somebody who's trying to play a ball from deep and create something. But when Dallas plays in that organized system, 3 at the back, really putting people behind the ball, there's not going to be space for Corcoran to play the ball into. So Nashville were kind of stuck in this cycle of having the ball, doing nothing with the ball, and then Dallas would look the better team. What ended up breaking that cycle was Dallas going for the win a little later in the game before the red card and pushing for that win. And that's when those Espinoza chances came in. And that's where Clay's point comes into play, because teams who are wanting to be at the top echelon of this league have to put those chances away. Yes, there weren't plenty of chances. They weren't clear-cut chances, but they were chances. And they fell for one of your DP players, and that has to be converted if you want to be number 1 or number 2 in MLS. Now, that doesn't mean Nashville can't build up to that. It's the second game of the season. Nobody need to overreact to this. BJ Callahan said that himself. It's fine for right now. But going back to even Steven's point earlier this episode, if you continue to showcase that in other away games, that's when it starts becoming a problem. But I think for me, I have never seen Nashville under BJ Callahan play and thrive in a 4-3-3 system. He keeps trying it, and maybe it will come off eventually. I think this is kind of him showcasing that Nashville can play in different ways, but I just have never seen Nashville be comfortable with that system. The last time they tried it out was against Miami in the playoffs, and that didn't end up well either, with Brian Acosta taking that Matt Corcoran role. So I just, maybe it's something that they just need to stick with until it works. But for me, if you're going to put Hani as the striker, somebody needs to get the ball to Hani. And for all their strengths, again, Yazbek and Eddie Taxath are not that player.
Well, and I think some of it is going to be questioned upon the depth. Like, there's always going to be questions about the depth of this team and what they can do, because I do feel like probably later on into the season, I think he had to move to a 4-3-3 out of necessity, not just because he wanted to. I think at a normal time, like, you're putting Woobens Pacius where Sam Surridge is playing, and you're good to go. But Woobens Pacius literally played 90 minutes on Tuesday, wanted to give him a little bit of rest, had to kind of swap some stuff out. You expected Warren Madrigal to kind of almost be your backup striker in a lot of instances. He's kind of moved into sort of a winger type of role and situation. It is interesting to see where the trust in some of these players is kind of lying, in comparison to their actual playing and positioning kind of starting off. So, for example, with Sam Surridge, being injured, I thought that would be a perfect opportunity for Ahmed Qasim to come in and really make an impact into the match. Didn't get the ability to start. It's one of those things where I'm not looking at this a ton. I mean, it almost reminds me of preseason a little bit, of like trying to like tinker a little bit too much with what you can have. I'm not too necessarily worried about it. I was extremely worried for Brian Corcoran to come into the mix, and play in that deep lying 6 in a starting MLS spot. I don't think he did terribly, but he also wasn't the person, as anyone else was expecting, for him to be the first one to get a red card this Nashville SC season.
Yeah, Matt Corcoran.
Matt Corcoran, sorry, not Brian.
Yeah, but for me, the thing that really stuck out in that game is that it became pretty apparent that what Nashville was doing going forward wasn't working pretty quickly, and it stayed apparent after halftime. I was perfectly fine going into the second half, seeing if you could figure it out, because we've seen this Nashville team adjust in the second half and do well. And the game was just begging to change tactics, change things up, get new people out there, and it just took such a long time to actually do it. And that's not new. That's not something that is new to things we've seen in games that Nashville has like been begging for a change on the field, and it's taken a little bit too long to bring that change about. In that, if there is anything to worry about from the FC Dallas game, which, like I said, I'm not like overly worried. It's the second game of the season. It's an opportunity lost more than anything else. But I think if you looked at our Discord from about the 55th minute until about the 75th minute, it's just 20 minutes straight of people asking for subs.
Right.
And I think that if if everyone can see that there needs to be a change, it's a little bit frustrating to take that long, especially when the game is there for the taking. And that is the part that makes me a little bit worried. I do understand you're also not trying to put yourself in a spot where you give away a game in the last 15 minutes, and I do get that. But because defensively Nashville was mostly fine, but like I do think like those situations you want to grab the game by the neck and get the win, and the game was calling for it, and that is something that we've talked about on this show for more than a year of maybe settling with the same guys for too long.
Yeah, I think also on the Corcoran thing, I thought his game was fine. I just thought it was a bad fit of going forward. Like, I thought defensively he was pretty solid before the red card. I thought everything he did, not very clean on the ball, distributed the ball well. It's just there was no space for him to pass the ball into. Like, if you think about his assist against Ottawa, there wasn't a single opportunity where he could do that against Dallas because Dallas just didn't play like that. So I thought it was more of a bad fit rather than him having a bad game. The red card, I just think that's, I've said
Young
this
guy.
already. I think he just forgot he was on a yellow. There's no way, because I forgot he was on a yellow. I know he was playing in the game, but I just don't think there's a way he was conscious of a yellow card that he had and goes into a challenge like that. He's young. He'll learn from this. There are plenty of players in that locker room who've done that and worse in their young years, and I'm sure some of them will have an arm around him. I'm sure BJ Callahan's going to have an arm around him, and this is not a repeated behavior. Like, I'm thinking about Toto Aviles, who currently plays for Minnesota, but also used to play for Miami. He's on loan at Minnesota. My guy got like 5 red cards in his one season in MLS. Like, it was clearly an issue here. You know what I mean? And we're not there. Corcoran is not there. I don't think he's that type of player anyway. So that's why I think it's a teachable moment more than anything else. And look, if you can have that teachable moment and have one of the sort of less dynamic performances and end up still with a point away from home, I think you just have to take it at this point of the season and move on.
Yeah, we're not at Chelsea levels of disciplinarian issues, but
I didn't want to say it, but hey.
It is interesting though, because like, Clay, you were kind of talking about the substitution patterns and just like, everybody was kind of clamoring for it. If Christian Espinoza buries one of his chances in between the 55th and 75th minute that he had, I think the conversation is completely different, because the chances were there, I believe, in that time, where if Espinoza does bury one of those, I almost think the game played to what BJ was looking for. Hey, it's not our first team. We're going to sit in this a little bit and absorb a little bit of pressure. And if we're able to capitalize on it, we can capitalize on it. And that's kind of in transition. That's kind of how the game played out between those times. I do agree with you where I think you could have thrown in another player or two to kind of help out in that transition. But yeah, it was extremely interesting to see.
I don't necessarily think that it was the type of game that BJ was looking for, because Nashville had 2 shots in the first half. So I can't imagine that that's what he's aiming for in that type of game. But I do think like the reason you get a Christian Espinosa is that he is a match winner.
Right.
Like that is what you want your DPs to be, is match winners. That's what Hani Mukhtar is. That's what Sam Surridge is. And Espinoza, one of those was significantly tougher than the other, to be fair. But
Yeah.
like it is, he had a couple chances to really etch his name, and kind of remind Nashville fans who have, let's be honest, a lot of Nashville fans have never seen him play. Like he played once with San Jose in Nashville, and how many Nashville fans that are there every week are watching all of the away games or are watching San Jose games. A lot of Nashville fans have never seen him play. So this was a chance to kind of like, this is why we signed him. And so I do, again, I don't want to belabor the point. I'm not too worried about it. It's just more like this was an opportunity to really like, Nashville was one of the big talking points out of the first weekend. And if they come out of this past weekend, with an away win and 4 straight wins to start the season with 2 in the CONCACAF Champions League, it's a way to be like, oh man, it's really setting up, Minnesota and then enter Miami, like to really set the stage for a big spotlight for this Nashville squad. But it'll still be there. If Nashville beats Minnesota, people will still be talking about Nashville and Miami. So it's not that big a deal.
One other thing that wasn't mentioned, in the rundown, but I do want to bring it up. Even though Nashville didn't score, they also were not scored upon, and I think that's something to kind of bring up. I think Waleji had a fantastic match in the back there. Especially against an attack that's pretty good. Peter Musa is a really good striker, and then Schwaki did have a couple big saves
Yes.
in particular that deserve to be like, oh yeah, there's a reason why he's our starting keeper. I also think it's very interesting how well that Brian Schwaki plays under pressure and plays out of the back. It's extremely different to see. Not saying that Joe Willis was bad in that. It just wasn't his. Joe Willis was a ball stopper. Brian Schwaki seems like more of a player that you can play to in comparison, out of the back. And I liked it. It was good to see.
He holds on to it just like 1 second past the like comfortable portion. And that's his strength in a lot of ways.
Yep.
But I think that's what also makes every fan like heart and mouth.
They all clinch a little bit.
Yeah.
He's
but
going to give away a goal or two.
It's going to happen.
But you're going to take it,
And
if
I do want to mention, while we're talking defensively as well, I think Dan Lovitz was came up big on a couple of moments, especially when they played the ball over the top and he was able to kind of head it away. But yeah, Schwaki, I think, we've talked about goalkeepers kind of earning you points throughout the season. I think it's fair to say that Schwaki earned Nashville this point. It's not just him by himself, but I thought his 2 big saves were massive in this game.
Nashville also did have a midweek CONCACAF Champions Cup match against Atletico Ottawa. If you did not remember this, like Valair, Nashville did end up winning 5-0 in that match. Goals from Alex Mawil, Jordan Knight, Wubin Spacius, Jack Mayer, and Ahmed Qasim. Every sort of person kind of that's normally on the bench is on the score sheet in that match. I think Alex Mawil getting the first goal is very fun to be able to see. Look, Nashville took care of business and did what they needed to do.
Not only did Nashville take care of business, did whatever they needed to do, everyone who needed something out of that game for the most part got it.
Mm-hmm.
There was a clean sheet. That was great.
Yep.
Wheel got on the score sheet. That was great. Ahmed Qasim got on the score sheet and did it with a confident goal.
Yep.
Because that is not a goal that someone who's not confident scores.
Nope.
You don't round the keeper and then go to the far post if you don't back yourself a little bit.
Well, I think it was even cool that Hani Mukhtar like reposted that goal specifically on his social media, where I'm like, okay, like
these are the things that you wanted out of that game. Obviously, terrible goalkeeping on display throughout that match from Ottawa. It's very overmatched. Everything that Nashville wanted out of that series for the most part, they got. They essentially got a comfortable preseason win, and that's what it felt like in Hamilton. And they got a very comfortable win by the backups in Nashville. And I think that there will be dividends for that game that we will see in other games later this year. But it does feel a little bit ridiculous playing this round of games at times whenever you like take this in combo with the Mocha game in this round. The last time Nashville was in Champions League, it's like, all right, I feel bad almost.
Yeah, I will say I'm looking at the team sheet right now, and everybody in the midfield three and the top three had a goal contribution, and Jack Mayer had a goal contribution, and Shaq Mohammed off the bench had a goal contribution. So really well spread out for Nashville SC, but it does showcase sort of the level they're playing against. And going off what Clay said, Nashville SC scored line of 7-0 in aggregate was not even near the worst of it. The Philadelphia Union beat Defense Force 12-0. Cincinnati beat I can't even remember the team name, 13-0. O&M FC.
University of Dad O&M.
Yes. Yeah. 13-0. One of their games they scored 9 goals. This is not necessarily like I am all for giving chances to teams, and I think that's a fair thing to do. I do think CONCACAF currently has these sort of Caribbean Cup, they have the Central American Cup, they have the Leagues Cup, and all of those kind of feed into Champions Cup. And I'm just not sure that's the best way to handle this competition. I think having something, confederation wide, that is the elite competition with maybe just 16 teams, and let's call that the Champions League, and let's have something under it for the not as elite of teams. And that's for the secondary sort of thing. Like I even think 10 MLS teams is way too many for a continental competition. If this is a money thing, this is why it's happening. But to me personally, I would just put 16 top teams in the continent as the elite competition, have it maybe another 16 or 24 team competition under it, and just call it that.
The thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I understand why it happens, is the CPL is not the top flight league in Canada. I mean, it technically is, in that it is the league that is administrated by the Canadian Federation at the top flight, but it is not the top flight league in Canada because MLS is. And that distinction does exist because that is the reason Ottawa Fury was kicked out of USL, was because they had an equivalent league now in Canada in the Canadian Premier League, which means that CONCACAF considered USL Championship equivalent to the Canadian Premier League. Because if they considered it the actual top flight, then the MLS teams would be required to play in it. So it's kind of a strange thing, because it would be like, why would you include these teams? Why would you include, I'm not a real big like closed, environment for all these teams. I just feel bad in the situations where guys come play. Essentially, I mean, Nashville finished kind of middle of the pack in MLS last year and smashed them, and I don't know that there's a lot in that for some of these teams. And I don't know that that's the best thing for the competition or for CONCACAF, for the way that people look at the competition outside of the diehards. Because the game against Ottawa, that was a night for the sickos. I mean, I don't know what announced attendance was, but I'll tell you right now, it was probably 5,000 or 6,000 people at most, because they weren't even close. I got home in like 15 minutes. Like, there wasn't any traffic, like, because everyone kind of knew what time it was when that game was announced. And it was the same way with Mocha. And so when the competition feels like that, it doesn't feel like a big deal. And that does a real harm to a competition that can ultimately get you into potentially Copa Libertadores or the Club World Cup, like, does a disservice to the whole competition.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I kind of agree with Valair. There probably is some, changes specifically that do need to be happened in the competition, but also there was some good matchups in this round specifically that ended up going to the wire. I mean, LA Galaxy barely got the win over Sporting San Miguelito from Panama, which is LA Galaxy should be thwarting that team. So I do agree with you, Valair. I do think probably some changes need to happen to the competition, especially with some of these other smaller kind of division teams. But there are still some chances for upsets in every sort of scenario. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens and if anything changes with the competition going forward. But we do have some other MLS news to talk about, as well as another match week to predict. Luckily, we don't have two matches this week to predict, just one. And we're going to talk about those and all of that stuff right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer. Of course, at Pharma Soccer again on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, 615soccer.com. Please make sure to check us out there. Pharmasoccer.com. Get all of your fun merchandise needs there. There was another MLS match week over the week, and that was cool. Are you guys enjoying the fact that they're putting more matches on Sundays like I am? I'm very much enjoying more matches on Sundays.
I just love the spreading on both Saturday and Sunday. You can wake up, watch soccer all day Saturday into the night, and then Sunday, same thing. And that catches more eyeballs, I think, simply because you're just catching different games. There's less games happening at the same time, which makes me feel like I have a better hold on the league as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know that that'll continue once it gets into the summer months and everybody wants their evening games. But I do remember back whenever I was a single guy and could watch way more soccer than I do these days, when I had MLS Direct Kick well before Nashville SC existed. Uh, that's all I would do is sit there on a Saturday or a Sunday and go from one game to the next game to the next game. And the fact that it's set up that way is good for trying to get people to watch the whole league, because a lot of people, as I just talked about in the last segment, only really watch their team. Nothing wrong with that. Perfectly fine with that. But this does make it easier for everyone.
And there was some interesting matchups and matches over the week. I don't know if you guys knew Montreal's really bad.
Can I start this? Look, I know a lot of lesser podcasts will start with the Inter Miamis, the LAFCs of the world, all that stuff. But I just want to say that RSL playing a bunch of children and beating Seattle, it was pretty nice to see. And it was nice to see that stadium have life again, because I am one of the people who had them, I don't know, like 13th or 12th or something in our prediction. And watching that game and seeing how excited those players were and how well they played for themselves, for the club, for the coach, it was really nice. So yeah, we are your choice of podcast because that's what I want to open with.
If we're going to talk about teams playing a bunch of children, I mean, New York Red Bulls win again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That's wild.
Some fun stuff going on with youth movements.
Yeah. The thing with the Red Bulls too, they beat New England, but it was their first home game and it was nice. But I think for RSL, beating Seattle is a bigger accomplishment than anybody beating the New England Revolution at the moment.
That's fair.
But yes. Also big fan of the Red Bull. And then, a couple of other Sunday results that I think need to be mentioned. But if we're trying to keep it somewhat Nashville related, Charlotte went to LA and got smacked 3-0.
Now that we've talked about other teams, I do want to bring up that I appreciate that photo that made the rounds from the Orlando-Miami game, which I think that the logical next step improving, America as a soccer market is just how many of your fan base is willing to flip off the greatest player that's ever played. And there's a photo of Megan, I can't say her last name, Tinks or something like that. She took a photo that's been everywhere of all of these Orlando fans. About half of them have their phones out, and the other half are giving double barrel middle fingers to Messi. And that's the way it should be. Well, if you're a fan, that's the way it should be. And then Messi, of course, giving it to the Orlando coach asking if he wants him to autograph the ball.
Amazing. Literally amazing. Like, I don't want this to be a pro Messi podcast, but like, if anybody is thinking that Messi doesn't care specifically about winning matches in this league, yes, he does, specifically just because of that reaction. If you're going to the assistant coach and dogging him for just wanting an autograph, you want to be a part of this league very much so.
My favorite soccer picture of all time, is Thierry Henry after scoring against Spurs, sliding into the home end and does his little celebration with a sliding, the iconic one, and zooming in on every face of the Spurs fans in front of him. That is my favorite picture when it comes to soccer of all time.
I thought it would have been Emmanuel Adebayor when he was with City.
I was at a high moment, and you really brought me down. I don't appreciate that. You see, that's how you
It's a similar thing for those
Steven,
that are on.
This is how you deal with emotional. This is how controlled emotions look like.
Yes, as your face completely just took a downturn and you didn't look upset at all.
I controlled it. I'm watching a lot of Daredevil, and he's an inspiration because the way he controls himself and then beats the crap out of people. Anyway, back to Thierry Henry, because it's an amazing picture.
We're done with it. And it's great photo.
And that slide on the knee slide became so iconic that there's a statue of it outside the Emirates Stadium. And not saying that there will be a statue of Messi going in front of the Orlando fans, but I just think anytime you can get the away fan or the opposition fans kind of get in their faces, I just think it produces some really nice moments.
For anybody that thought Philadelphia was going to be good, no, that's not the case. Thank God for that. Really appreciate them selling half their team and they're actually not good this year. Is good to see.
That was a wild game, by the way.
It was a wild match.
There's a lot going on in Philadelphia, and we can just say that. There's a lot going on in Philadelphia with that team. Not all of it has to do with soccer.
That's true. One team, though, that did end up getting... Well, before we preview, I guess. Is there anything else that we do need to talk about? No, I don't think so.
Timo Werner came into MLS and gets an assist on his debut off the bench, too. That's exciting. And guess who Timo Werner is playing for? Say it, Steven. Say it with me. Everybody. Bruce Arena. Timo Werner is playing for Bruce Arena in San Jose in MLS, baby. This is 3.0. This is 4.0. This is 5.0. I don't care what this is. This is amazing. We're just excited.
I do love when there's certain things that Valair talks about where he turns off all journalistic integrity, and one of them is talking about Bruce Arena. It doesn't matter. Anything... The other one is Giassi Zardes, and then the other one is Arsenal. All three of those, that man is turning into a rabid wolf to talk about them.
All I'm saying is that there was a clear opportunity for Nashville SC to hire Bruce Arena before BJ Callahan, and things turned out well with BJ Callahan. I don't want to take anything away, but I know I should be impartial in this, but I was extremely partial. I was really wanting Bruce Arena here.
Valair he's just really upset that he didn't get to get chewed out by Bruce Arena at a home team press conference.
Hey, that'll be an honor. I'll take it. If you call yourself a journalist in this country, you need to be chewed out by Bruce Arena.
One other MLS match that did happen over the weekend was Minnesota United getting the win over FC Cincinnati, a team that we play on Saturday.
Hey, guys, have you ever been as cold as James Rodriguez looked in that game?
I don't think he has ever been as cold as that game.
I didn't see. Did he look extremely cold? Is that what happened?
Oh, yeah.
He never ended up coming on, unfortunately, but I think he's going to come on against Nashville probably at least for a few minutes. Also, Minnesota's looking a little better. I do want to shout out something. The fans had a really cool tifo. Go take a look at it.
A really cool tifo.
Before we talk about the actual soccer stuff.
Yeah, the Andor tifo.
The soccer stuff. Is it me?
No, the Andor tifo, especially with everything going on in Minnesota, at the current moment, it was very unifying. It's what a tifo should be when people do tifos. It was really cool to see. So shout out to my friends and the Minnesota supporters for doing the Wonderwall, for doing an amazing job there.
And Orlando had a really cool tifo too, but they lost, so that's why we didn't talk about it. Anyway,
and we play Minnesota, so that's why I'm just talking about Minnesota specifically.
But on Minnesota, they play a little differently this year. They're not quite anti-soccer as Eric Ramsey would like them to be, who, by the way, already got fired from his new job in West Brom. I don't know. They all kind of
that is correct.
All the championship teams are the same to me. But going into this game, I think their fans will be backing them. They're still a very defensively organized team, like that's still their identity. But man, they give Cincinnati a hard time, and they looked pretty dominant for large stretches of that game. Now, Cincinnati did miss a couple chances. Denke was there, didn't finish on a couple of them. But yeah, overall, I think this team is going to be just as good as last season. And honestly, if they can get James Rodriguez firing, I think they can even be better than last season. So I think that's kind of where I have them in my preseason ranking. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. But yeah, overall, I think it's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be quite as I don't think they're going to be quite as defensive as they were last season, which means maybe it opens up a little bit of an opportunity for Nashville to maybe find some space.
Yeah, it seems like this coach has kind of woken Calvin Yeboah up a little bit too, at least to start the season. 2 goals in 2 matches for him. That's something to be worried about from the striker perspective. As Valair did bring up as well, James Rodriguez was on the bench for this match, probably comes in at some point against Nashville. But in what way? Is he somebody that's going to be prominent that's starting? Is he good anymore? Like what is it against what James Rodriguez will we get against Nashville?
So as the resident James Rodriguez stan, what I will say is that James Rodriguez has a very limited skill set, but in that limited skill set, he is among the best in the world at that specific thing. And so he's not going to press. He's not going to run at all, basically.
No, absolutely not.
But if you're trying to unlock something, he can play the exact ball that will unlock it. And he can do it without thinking twice about it, without even, it comes to him instinctually. And it's one of the great tragedies of Everton that he never played in front of Everton fans when he was there, because he's the exact type of guy that they love, in that type of role. But yeah, I don't really think he's going to be a hugely impactful guy in MLS, because I don't think that type of player really works in MLS in this type of league. But this is a league that's always changing, and if you can find a way for that to work in this league, he presents something that no one else can do, really.
I think we've seen a lot of 10s come into MLS and thrive, and I feel like he could be one of them. What's going to really help him is
we've also seen a lot come in and fail. Spectacular.
Yeah, but generally 10s don't really you there's not a single number 10, true number 10 in the Premier League right now. But I can name you at least 5 number 10s in MLS who are out there having a good time, right? So I think what it comes down to is when he steps on the pitch, and I'm not talking about form, I'm not talking about age, I'm just talking about quality wise. When he steps on the pitch, he will be the best player on the pitch for both teams against every single team Minnesota plays except Miami. And that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Heung-min Son is a great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. Bouanga, Evander, Mukhtar, Suraj, all of them, great players. But James Rodriguez being on that pitch will, quality-wise, for bang for a buck, he is going to be the best player when he steps on that pitch, if he steps on that pitch at Geodis Park. But that doesn't mean much. You know what I mean? Carlos Hill was the best player in a lot of games, and New England still finished pretty badly last season. So I think that's something to keep in mind as well.
I think we've seen a lot of guys I think of Samuel Eto'o towards the end of his career, where he played for a bunch of teams, kind of like James has, the last several years. He plays for a bunch of just random teams, where if you give him a moment, he's going to have a big moment several times over the course of the year. But a lot of times you're going to get to the end of the game and be like, I don't I don't really remember him impacting the game a whole lot. I think that's probably what we're going to see from James. Although personally, as a big fan of James, I do hope he's hugely impactful in every game that doesn't involve Nashville SC.
Well, luckily, Nashville is very comfortable playing against quick South Americans with a really strong left foot since we've played Miami about 85 times. So just think of a lesser Messi and play him like that, and maybe you'll win the match. Who knows? Anyways, predictions, plugs. We'll start with Clay today.
Yeah, I think Nashville's going to respond pretty well from the FC Dallas game. No 2 games this week, so you only really have to focus on the one. I don't think James is probably in season shape, so I would be surprised if he starts. I think he comes off the bench. I think Nashville is going to get right back on track to where they were a week ago. And so I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Nashville.
I'm going to go with a 2-1 Nashville. I think it's going to be a narrow match. And you know what? I think James Rodriguez is going to score. Why not? Let's have some narrative here. So I think it's going to be 1-1. James Rodriguez scores off the bench, maybe in the 80th or something, and then Nashville wins it late on. The 2 goals are going to be scored by Christian Espinoza will score the first one, of course, because we all know that. And then Sam Surridge is going to score the winner very late on. And then you can follow me at Valair Shabila. I'm working on 615 soccer stuff. I'm working on pharmaceutical soccer stuff. I'm working on kickback committee stuff and kickback soccer media stuff, because I'm doing all sorts of stuff with them as well, World Cup and MLS. So make sure you're following along, because we have a lot of stuff coming up.
I forgot to plug myself at Clay Russell on Instagram and Twitter. Also, Nashville Soccer Archive, and now that it's officially announced, even though I said it last week, the Nashville Soccer Supporters Trust did just donate a massive trove of items to the Nashville Soccer Archive, which is at Vanderbilt University. If you are interested in donating things that you may be of historical interest to Nashville Soccer, please reach out to me on any of those things, or send me an email, whatever it may be, and we will try and get them enshrined in the Nashville Soccer Archive. Appreciate it.
At PH Steven HD on all my stuffs, on all my stuffs, all the things. Yeah, like we talked about, Minnesota very good defensively, but they won't be good enough defensively against Nashville, and I think Nashville keeps up having no goal scored against them. So I'm gonna go with a 1-0 win for Nashville at home, and we're gonna say Hani Mukhtar gets the goal against Minnesota. James Rodriguez gets injured and misses playing in the World Cup. Thank you again so much for listening to the show. We truly do appreciate it. Your guys' support means the world to us. If you want Valair's XL shirt, remember, please submit a 5-star review.
It's not a shirt. It's a quarter zip.
Please submit a 5-star review. Would love to read it on air as well and have you be a part of the show in show form. So thank you again so much for listening. What?
If you're going to do my thing, do it right. You have to screenshot the 5-star review and send it to us on social media so you get the quarter zip, and only the first one, because I only have one quarter zip shirt. Thank you, Steven. God. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
Have a good rest of your